start with oh, thank you for that recording. I forget that part. Um, we're gonna just start with um, a mindfulness, and it's just kind of a simple one, just noticing what's here. Um, and so what I invite people to do is I like them to make sure they get comfortable in their chair, wherever they're at, on a couch or chair, and just start taking a couple deep breaths and just noticing what it's like just to breathe for a second. Now you can do this with your eyes open or closed, whatever feels most comfortable to you. But I'd like for you to become aware what it's like to be here right now. Just noticing this moment as we're breathing for a second. And as you're breathing, you're noticing what it's like to notice your ribs go up and down, your lungs expanding and contracting. Just notice where your mind takes you to. Perhaps it's going to bring up some of the things that are on your plate that you have to do. Maybe there are responsibilities that are pressing on your shoulder, kind of competing for your attention right now in this moment. Maybe there are noises outside your room. Maybe you're going to notice what it's like to sit in your chair and you feel like you need to adjust a little bit. Just become mindful of it. And notice how your body reacts to whatever is here. And as you're bringing your mind to that, notice what you're hoping for to learn today. Maybe there are questions that have been brewing on your mind, worries, doubts. Maybe the process has been more difficult than you thought it might be. Or maybe there's a client that comes to mind that you feel like you're not reaching. As you're noticing those, I wonder if we could become curious about them and see what the longing is there. Maybe it's a longing for help, assistance. Maybe it's not to be alone. But as you notice that, I invite you to become aware of how these worries or pressures react as we start noticing these words. It's okay for me to be here. Everything I need is here in this moment. I have the strength to overcome these things. But it is important for me to be here. And it's okay to be uncertain about everything. Just notice what comes up for you. And perhaps some things jump to your mind that created anxiety. Perhaps what we could do is say, it's okay to put these worries that are outside my control. I imagine myself putting them outside my door here. I'm going to open my door and put those worries out there and say, thank you for being here. I'll come back and get you on my way out, but right now I'm going to be present. I wonder if there's something that could work for you. A place you can put those that will help you be here in this moment, to relax and ready to learn. Notice how it goes. Walk away and leave it there. Confidence that may come. Maybe your body relaxes. Your shoulders might relax or your back. As we get ready to begin, count back from 5. And if your eyes are open or closed, we can open them at that time. And just notice what it's like here in this present moment. 5, 4, 3, 2. Thank you for participating in that with me. I wonder, I'm going to move things, make this bigger. I wonder what came up for you. What was that like for you? What did you notice?
Um, I don't feel as frazzled today, so I felt like I was able to engage myself a little bit more in the mindfulness and not be thinking about everything that's going on. So yeah, no, it was nice.
Great. Thank you, Becky.
Um, it was good to just take a moment and pause and get comfortable. I just needed to like write down what came to my mind because that helps me feel like it's out then. And then I want to close my eyes, but I can't because that just makes me so tired.
Oh, does it? That's okay.
Closing my eyes is like the key to like nap time. I'm serious, like I
I
could fall
believe you.
asleep.
It sounds like you run yourself pretty hard. You work real hard. That's great. I'm glad you noticed that. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. What I noticed for me is actually um, many different thoughts kept popping up in my mind of projects to do. Um, I was able to watch both your videos. My kids were gone yesterday, so I was quite excited. And so I kind of was excited about today. So since my wife and kids were up north, I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch videos. And so I was able to connect with that excitement that I felt last night as I was preparing for today. So thank you. How about you, Liz?
Yeah, I was noticing that I I feel my body is pretty calm, and I'm noticing lots of thoughts, some memories, linking me back to what I started leading mindfulness and getting feedback from Deb, and noticing a critique just can't shut down. And I realized, yeah, it was um, it's I another part also notice I would like to welcome this. Can I just be here and welcome and my own critique and what's going on and you being so just jump in and this is an awesome experience and there is a little battle.
Mhm.
Big critique and yeah, another part reminding me this is all good and yeah, my answer is here.
Your answer is here, huh? It's good to be aware of that, huh? Well, I'm glad I could bring it out in you because you got mine and on that email. So thank you all for accommodating next month. I'm excited to work with you all next month. Well, why don't we begin? If there's any questions or cases that you want to bring up, things that come to mind, I wonder what questions you all have.
Since you brought up that email, may I say something?
Please.
Yeah, I thought it was beautiful just for our whole group to have that experience. And you were so open and willing to reflect what is here for you and how it's connected to your past. So that's like AIP in real action. Um, like we teach in trainings that when we do the question, when we look for the answer, it's not just about the verbal response. Same here as our the consultation meeting is not just about what's talked about in the meeting, but it's the whole. We're in relationship with each other. We're in communication. There's patterns of behaviors, patterns of relating, communicating, all will show up throughout these months. So sometimes these experiences really create that safety for good things to happen. So I appreciate you, Dwayne.
Well, thank you. And it is something that it helps me get better, and I appreciated you guys calling it out. When Deb's first little snippet came in, I was like, maybe I could dismiss it. And then you caught it. It's like, okay, well, there's no sense hiding from it anymore. Uh, my kids found it funny. I told them that. They thought it was really funny. And so it is good for me to be honest with myself. And it frees me up a lot. So thank you for that. Well, I mean, and that's open to discussion too. I would leave that on the table because I think that's our answer, as Liz just brought up, can be a barrier in therapy. Um, and it could create, I don't want to say issues, but sometimes it stagnates growth. Um, and so if there's questions on that about my email or anything, or if there's stuff that you want to bring up, I invite you guys to, I'm opening up to y'all if there's questions that come up for you.
No, I don't have anything related to that. I think is completely fine and flexible. Um, I need to be a little more mindful in my responses because I think I like responded and didn't. I said the wrong date or something like that because I was just like responding real quick and but I was like totally okay with whatever. Um, but yeah, I think, and this doesn't have to be like a topic right now, but I know what I'm looking to feel more confident in is my work when it comes to dissociation, when that's present as an answer, because that seems to be kind of frequent with some of the teens I'm working with. And then I also would like to maybe explore a little more about the like substance use protocol. I've done reading on like Detour, and there's two others that I did reading on. And I just like am wondering, how you guys have approached cravings as a target, or like determining, do you go to the traumatic memories or that, the craving first. And then my last thing I'll throw out there is also that I've been having difficulty sometimes, and maybe it's me, maybe it's not really actually difficulty, I don't for sure know, but sometimes I feel like I have a hard time identifying the touchstone memory. It's like and people just seem to like have a hard time identifying that youngest memory. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Actually, maybe that was in the video. I don't know if you have feedback on that, but it was almost like she was like, I don't know if we felt confident with what the touchstone memory was. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does make sense.
So,
Perfect. Awesome. I took some notes down. How about for you, Becky? I want to make sure we touch all these, but I wonder if there are things that are coming up for you.
Just one of the young adults that I'm working with. Two things are going on with him. He has autism, and he also has pretty severe OCD. So the OCD, I get. He has some pretty interfering rituals that he does. He lives with his parents. The rituals drive the parents nuts. He's not bothered by them at all. And he is so resistant to trying to change, because he wants to do these rituals because that's what keeps him safe and that's what keeps everybody else safe. So I guess in going through this with him, which he's willing to do, but then he tells me like he really doesn't want to change. So that's hard. So I'm struggling with that one. Other people that I'm working with, I think it's going amazingly well, but that one is just like I don't know what to do with it.
Okay.
So we even kind of started all over, and I thought maybe we need to look at a different touchstone memory, a different negative cognition, because I can't budge him at all. He doesn't want to be budged. So
Perfect.
yeah, help.
All right.
But he
I
keeps
think this.
coming back, probably because his mom makes him. But
Mhm.
yeah, I just don't know what to do with him. I just want to help him. I mean, I really want him to be happy in life, and he's not allowing himself to be happy because he feels like he has to do these rituals. He can't be happy. He can't forgive. He has to believe all these negative things about himself, or he's not a good person. So
Perfect.
anyway,
Perfect. Well,
so
thank you
sorry. My
both.
dogs are barking.
Not a problem. Well, how about would you be okay, Alyssa, if we start with you now that I kind of got the stuff on the table where I want to look at? I wonder
Sure.
one of those three, the substance use protocol, the dissociation, or identifying the touchstone memory. I wonder if there's one of those that feels more pressing or you desire to get
Well, I feel
feedback
like
on.
maybe the touchstone has more to do with like the video I submitted.
Mhm.
It's up to you.
Well, we can, because we're going to be reviewing the videos the second hour. And if you
Oh,
want to
okay.
cover that one then, be happy to
Okay.
reflect on that then.
Okay. So maybe dissociation.
Dissociation. Okay. Um, no, you said these were mostly with teenagers. Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
So I do the my God, I can't think of words today. The DES, the ADES,
Hmm.
always with every client. And then, anything over, oh, go ahead, Liz.
Hmm. Sorry, I was just staring at Alyssa. Go ahead, Liz.
Yeah. I just want to remind you that um, when when I first sent the second long email, that there is a case consultation form. If you have a specific case, that'll be most beneficial that you go over that reflection, send it in, and bring a case. Um,
Okay.
so that our consultation, the most valuable is that we are working with real material, the real client and real you, how your answer might be showing up. Then
Oh,
if we're just hypothetically talking about it, it really loses the the, the best juicy
yeah.
material. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I will make sure to be more mindful about that. I guess I'm just wondering, like, what does PTI recommend exactly, like when it comes to protocol for dissociation? Like, do I need to like, should I be doing the mid if the DES is clinically significant? And you know, what do you guys exactly look out for with clients? I mean, I can tell, you know, certain clients when they are beginning to dissociate, but there's something about dissociation where I feel nervous about working with it a little bit. Um, and I think that's because just, I don't know, it wasn't really touched on a whole lot in the training.
Okay.
And I've tried to do reading, but anyways, I'll stop rambling and hear your input.
No, you're doing great. Um, and I will come back to those questions, but you mind if I reflect a few things back to you? Would that be okay with you? Because I want to make sure I understand it exactly where I'm going. I wonder, as you're kind of noticing, you said I'm worried about the dissociation when it comes up. What happens inside of you when you start noticing that or worried that it might come up? What do you notice come up in you?
Well, I'm just worried I don't have the right training behind me to be able to handle what could come up for them, you know what I mean? Um, or the right information or knowledge, you know, I don't know. It just seems like, so I'm sure, like, I know it's anxiety.
Mhm. And as you notice that, I wonder how your answer comes into play with that.
Um, well, I mean, I try to be cognizant, maybe I'm a little more cognizant of what I'm doing, but I start to like research more, but then I don't have like, I feel like I have nobody to like confirm what's correct and not correct. And it's like information overload and what do I go with? And I don't know. And then my anxiety probably just increases. I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, I wonder if that researching is a piece to try and help you deal with the emotions because now you're going into the logic part.
Mhm.
But then there's so much logic that comes at you. You're like, wait, I don't know what is right.
Yeah.
Okay, right. You know, what's interesting to me is, would it be okay if I reflect kind of like an image that popped up in my mind as I heard you talking?
Hmm.
Um, I had this image of you as like this, like I say, as like rock on the edge of the ocean, and it's like determined to, not let water pass. But then the ocean keeps coming and washing over top of it. I wonder what comes up for you as I say that.
It's probably true.
Probably, I don't know either. Like what if there's a part of it that feels true? I wonder what part that is.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I just want like to be like confirmation that I'm doing like the right things, I guess, or like doing something right, you know. Um, yeah.
But then as water keeps coming over top and you're
Yeah,
worried
because
that
then
you're
I
not
mean
doing it.
by the time I'm like, you know, feeling good about one situation, and there's a whole nother client with a whole nother curveball, and I'm like, ah.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, it's never um those are never comfortable feelings, are they? To have that feeling like here's my job, but everything's getting around me and escaping over me.
Yeah.
And let me kind of maybe take a step back and reflect why I go here and I because I don't want to make this uncomfortable for you. Um, but there's a reason here. This is as we're looking at our answer with our client. I'm not the expert in your client.
Mm.
That's kind of you. what I can reflect on is I noticed when you started talking about dissociation, I noticed that there was a lot of anxiety coming up. And I wondered if
Mhm.
that anxiety is similar to what you feel when you're with that client or those clients. If it is similar and we can learn to manage it here, my hope is that you'll feel better. You'll begin to recognize the strength that's in you and you can be different and react different there. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah.
And so I appreciate you being, quite open with this. I know this isn't easy. And so I want to acknowledge that piece because I do see that it's not comfortable for you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It, don't apologize. This is your stuff. This is real stuff. It's sacred stuff.
Yeah.
There's nothing shameful here to me at all. The fact that you showed up today is awesome. Um, but so kind of stepping back toward that, those memories, those the feelings of anxiety, that worry that I need someone to tell me what to do. I wonder if it's difficult to make decisions, if you find it difficult to make decisions, or to be feel confident in the decisions you make.
Probably sometimes. I mean, I can think of situations, yeah, where like I'm like, I don't know what route to go exactly, as I'm, been learning and practicing this for the last like 18 months.
Mhm.
I can tell that it's been a little difficult to navigate different routes sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. And so there's probably some frustration in the process too of learning it.
hmm But like also excitement. Like I really do love doing it and I see, benefits. But then there's just some cases where you're like, I really want somebody to tell me I'm doing it right.
You want that? I wonder if you're longing for reassurance.
hmm Yeah. Yeah, I really don't want to be screwing somebody up.
Yeah. I wonder if you're also longing not to feel alone.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I'm the only school therapist in the area that does EMDR. And so that's a whole thing in itself because that there's a little bit of controversy in some of my colleagues and like whether or not you should be doing EMDR in the school. Um,
Mm.
but I work in a very like different type of setting and I've found ways to make it work. So we're an alternative school and regardless of any of that, I believe you can be flexible but anyway, so like I don't really have anybody to connect to uh in my work and just say like, yeah, has this happened for you? Or and then also when you're in a school, you're on an island, kind of like practice, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah. I wonder if we welcome all those worries and that stress in here. As you kind of notice all of that stuff that you've talked about. I
Mm.
wonder what might help settle it.
I feel like knowledge.
From my standpoint, kind of going towards your question, and if any other questions pop up, please let me know. Um, I think you're more than enough. And I think that going back to how my answer can interfere with therapy, I wonder how, if you're worried, okay, I feel like there's his anxiety, maybe he's dissociating or her, and then there's mine, right? And then
Mhm.
they start interacting on each other. This is physics in my world. I use physics all the time with my clients. Um, For every action is an equal opposite reaction. The only thing I can do in that moment, really, actually, Deb did this recently, a few months ago. It was awesome. I was like, oh, you're the only other person I've ever seen do this. And it helped me through my struggle. Was Dwayne, this is the word she gave to me. Dwayne, the only thing you can really do is influence you. But since there's opposite, for every action is equal and opposite reaction, if I withdraw, then that force must either follow or adjust, adapt to it. So if I can settle myself down in the room and just be present, it makes things different for my client, because then they're not worrying about me, worrying about taking care of me, or they're picking up my anxiety and like, whoa, this sucks. I don't want to deal with his. I got mine. I don't want to touch his. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
I see you're thinking.
I'm
What's
trying to
coming up?
remember situations where maybe like my anxiety could have been noticeable. And I can think of a handful, but I don't think like regularly I let that be noticeable. I could be wrong. Like I definitely should be more mindful of it, because I really do feel like my anxiety is pretty managed.
No, I agree.
But there's just certain aspects because like I try to prepare myself outside of sessions, you know what I mean? Like for this stuff. And that's when I typically feel that anxiety. And then but there has been times where I'm like, do we do this or do we do that? Like in session with the client, and I'm sure they're like, she has no idea what to do with me right now.
Right. No, as for me, I'm not worried about you trying to, your clients carrying your load. I think you did great. But I'm saying, and so I want to make sure I'm communicating clearly that it's just, if I settle that down, I wonder what reaction I will get elsewhere. So going with dissociation. Dissociation can be an answer. It helps us avoid things, right? If they have a high dissociation scale, that means, to be honest, this is how I've conceptualized it. I don't know if I've actually heard it, but to me, I've often found my clients who have high dissociation have a very narrow window of tolerance. So before I'm going into it, I need to get them that window of tolerance a little wider, because their answer is going to come out to protect them, right? That means I need to welcome those fears in, because I tell my clients how I describe it. It's like, if this is it, and you're going to feel an emotion and it's this narrow, but your bandwidth of emotion is this big, it's not going to feel safe or comfortable reprocessing, because you're going way too far outside of it. If we can get it and the bandwidth just covers a little bit outside the boundaries, you're more likely to feel safer and more comfortable. So what do I do in dissociation? These are good times. I think it was Susan. I don't know. I've been working with a lot of different leads lately. It might have been Cheryl. One of them gave a good idea that I have tried once, grand total once, but they said when they see their clients start to feel like they're stepping out and the emotions are decreasing, they say, okay, put your hands on your face and just squeeze your face to kind of bring them back to the moment as a grounding effect. Those can be moments where it's like, okay, maybe are you feeling safe to continue?
Yeah.
What do you feel safe with? Sometimes it's you doing, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding effect. The important part is we got to get them back into that window of tolerance where they can feel safe. Sometimes it might be you got 5 minutes, in my experience, of passes, and then you pull back, and say, because they're dissociated, say, how are you feeling? And they're like, I'm feeling too much. Can we be done? Okay. Let's just do that. Let's make sure you're settled to go home. The next week I might get like 7 minutes. And it's just kind of like exercise. You build it up that endurance slowly. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mhm.
Uh, and so there's lots of options that I know you already know.
Mhm.
Being creative is the joy of this job for me. Because then I can be with my clients and come up with some random thing. I mean, one little guy, I said, okay, I want to see how fast you can get those feet moving in that chair. And he's bouncing them up and tapping them on the ground on both sides. And it was interesting because he's reprocessing that too, because he's now doing bilateral stimulation with the feet pounding on the floor. It's just the piece I want to speak to is that strength that's inside of you that we see, that you can do this. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So like, I mean, it's just being really mindful with your client with just when there's dissociation. It's not like, I think because one of the things the trainer had said was if there is if they're scoring clinically significant for dissociation, then you should be under a consultant to see them. And so that just put this like big fear in my head.
Right. How are you feeling about it now?
Okay, but now I'm like wondering if I've pushed like certain clients too far. Like because I could think of like one who like just, really had some intense reaction. I'm like, shoot, should I have stopped sooner with her?
Have they come back?
Oh
Has she
yeah.
come back? I think she trusts you. That
Hmm.
tells the strength of the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. We all learned that. I had one, it's the 60, she was like 61. And I don't remember if I mentioned it here or where it was one of the other trainings. I did the first pass and she's like, whoa, what was that? And I was like, I don't know. What's coming up for you? What do you notice now? And she's like, I don't know. Okay, go with that. And after about three or four, she's like, what the heck did you just do to me? I was like, uh, nothing. What do you notice now? In complete panic. And she didn't want to do it again. But she came back it took a year and I didn't realize it. This is how I learned about the narrow window of tolerance was from my own mistake.
Hmm.
Um, does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
You're doing great.
It does.
Perfect. Well, I want to make sure I give her about 20 minutes with Becky on this case. Before we go to our a little brief
Can
break. Go ahead, Liz.
I add a quick, yeah. Alyssa, whatever you just wondered out loud with your client. I wonder after last meeting if I pushed you too hard, or what do you notice?
Wait, are you asking me? I didn't hear you.
I mean, just come back. We always reflect on some of these, especially hard sessions or sessions we felt like, whoops, or did I do? I wonder if you could just bring it to your joint shared awareness and wonder out loud with the client.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, which I think I actually have like, oh man, that was really intense. Did we go too far? Yeah. And they're usually like so many of my clients are just like, well, I already, I always feel like crap anyways, so I'd rather be working on something, For teenagers to say that is so insightful, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that
But
speaks
yeah, that's good advice.
speaks it's a lot of our own anxiety and fear. If we could just hold space, clients, their lives are already really painful. It's there, whether we activate it or not. It's there. It's in their life, day and night.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything, being in this safe space, one foot in the present, one foot in the future, past. This could be the last time they have to feel this bad.
Right, right. It's true.
And one word about dissociation, some level of dissociation might be just part of the memory, right? If they are still following bilateral stimulation, they can still report back. And they're just, yeah, I was probably just zooming out when this happened. Oh, could this be what you were doing or you had to do?
Okay.
And your
Okay.
attunement with the client. It's a collaboration.
Okay. Thank you guys.
Oh, thank you. Well done. Perfect. So Becky, on yours with this young boy, how old is he? Man, I don't know. He's autism.
He's actually 21.
He's 21.
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder if there's a part that kind of stands out to you that you kind of feel most stuck with him. I wonder if there's an area that we could kind of work toward with that.
What I'm feeling stuck with is his, like, everybody else wants him to change, but he doesn't want to, because if he changes, I mean, that's scary. What he's doing is what's keeping him safe. So it's kind of the struggle with, it kind of, do I push him a little harder? Because he will stop me and he'll say, okay, enough for today. I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Mhm. How far along in the process have you gotten with him?
Let me tell you, I don't know like the stages by heart, but we've done the eye movements, and he'll say, like, say, what are you noticing now? Nothing, it's the same. Okay, what are you noticing now? It's the same. And it's just never changes. So it's like, I don't know if he's allowing himself. But just when you were talking a little bit about dissociation, I do notice, like, during the eye movements, that he does, like, really zone out, like almost falls asleep in just the 20 passes. I don't know. I don't want to, I feel like I mean, part of my answer is I want quick results. I want to see progress. And his mom has even said to me that the rituals at home have decreased in time, and she's seeing progress. And I have noticed progress with just the conversations, before we get started, when we just, catch up for the first 10, 15 minutes. The conversations have improved significantly. Like, so, he doesn't want to just talk about bugs and reptiles, and he'll actually talk about, these past experiences that have, kind of spiraled him into this OCD. But anyway, so I am seeing progress. I think it's just not like immediate now.
Mhm.
So, and
Right.
I'm in his resistance to, like, I feel like he's going through the motions to please his parents and to be nice to me.
And to be nice to you, huh?
Yeah, that's just how he is.
I'm assuming he must be high functioning.
Yes and no. I think there's a lot more he could do, but I think his parents hold him back. Because I'll talk to him about, getting a job, or he does take college classes online. But he's just very, very sheltered. And that's his mom. And I get it. So I think he could function more independently, but he doesn't.
Okay. So I'm curious here. I imagine you sitting there, doing the whole sitting the way we sit and then moving the hands, and you see him start to dissociate, fall asleep. Nothing changes. I wonder what comes up for you.
I mean, a lot does. Just I don't. It's some self doubt, or not even doubt, but just doubting the process.
Mhm.
And then kind of just some frustration with him for not trying, or not allowing it to help. And also he doesn't, like I said, folks with OCD, that's how they function. And to change that and to stop that is terrifying. So there's a lot of components to it.
Mhm. You say that a lot. There's a lot of components. I wonder if
Mhm.
this one feels overwhelming because it's different than the others.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's overwhelming. I think it's just more complex and confusing and maybe like not as easy as the other, you know what I mean? It's more difficult.
Mhm. Just more difficult. Is this your first autism client with autism?
That with EMDR,
With
yes.
EMDR. Okay.
Yeah, but not overall. I
Not
love
over.
working with people who have autism.
Okay. So you're familiar with that
Mhm.
terrain. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay. So as you kind of notice that frustration that comes up, the doubting the process and all that, I wonder what comes up right now in this moment as you're thinking about it.
Um, um, I think in the moment I start to doubt, but like right now, I know that there's other things that can be done. There's more that I can do. Probably have to do things a little differently with
So
him.
you have some ideas already.
Mhm.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
curious, what are those ideas?
Well, I started over. I mean, I like started over with him, and I which and he knows that this is new to me, and he's very patient, and so we started over and identified, three areas in his life. And so now we have a new negative cognition that we're going to start with the eye movements next week when I see him. So I kind of started over because I felt like he was just really, really like stuck on his first negative cognition, but it's still very similar. It's all kind of the same theme. Um, so I don't know. I tried to go to a different memory. Um,
What was the NC?
um, ugh. um, I think the first one was I am an evil person. And he has, I mean, and this happened like back in elementary school. He was bullied significantly by this one boy. And he said he was in art class, so that was the image that he was able to relate to the NC. And he said he had scissors in his hand, and he said he just had the impulse to like go stab this kid. And so that has stuck in his head since like that age, 10 or whatever, that he's an evil person for having that thought. So yeah. And I can't remember. I have a
And what comes up for you when he says that? As
I
you think about,
like, no, you're not.
so
But
you want to fight that. Your impulse is
right,
to fight
right.
that.
And I know the kid that bullied him, and he's like in jail. He's a jerk. So I'm like, I get it. Like, um, but it's just what this kid did to him and his reaction in his head is like, I don't know. It's like this kid not ruined him, but this kid is still bullying him.
I'm
Um,
curious, real quick. You mind if I make an observation?
oh, sure.
Um, I'm curious here. How has that thought been beneficial to him? How has that become an integral part of his answer?
The thought that he's an evil person. Okay, I'll try to explain this the best I can. So, because he feels that he's an evil person, he has these rituals that he does. And that is what keeps his family safe, the animals, he loves his pets. So he thinks, okay, so his belief, I'm an evil person, he does these rituals. And by doing those, he is reassuring himself that well, okay, it's not even that. He just feels like he needs to do these things to protect the people in his life. And if he
Yeah.
doesn't, then that reassures that he's an evil person. So he has to do these things.
So it sustains the rituals, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what other benefits come from that?
I mean, I think in his eyes, it's what keeps him safe from other people that could hurt him.
What I found interesting, and please correct me if I'm wrong,
Mhm.
again, you're the expert here. What I found interesting is this young man at 10 years old is told that has this thought, and the kid that's bullying him is a jerk.
Mhm.
You almost want to go in and give this little boy a hug, is what I imagined, this 21-year-old,
Well, yeah.
because he's such a good kid, right?
Mhm.
But that one thought seems to have brought you in and softened you
Yeah.
and helped sustain it. And you almost said it broke him for life.
Mhm.
I wonder if at 10 years old when that happened and he started these rituals, I wonder what benefits he got from that too. I wonder
Mhm.
if his family started noticing him and saying, "Oh, that's cute." I wonder if in the beginning when they started, they were encouraging of it to settle anxiety.
Mhm. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think his parents have just lost patience with him at this point, and he gets in trouble when he does his rituals. Like he gets technology taken away, additional chores. So it's at least the parents have, when I first met him, he would get in trouble for doing the rituals, and
Mhm.
they don't punish him as much anymore. He and his dad get into some pretty heated arguments about it.
But you see that wound in him, and then that activates your answer, and you're like, "Ooh, I want to help." But then you come into a wall, and you're like, "Well, this wall sucks.
Yeah,
Wonder
because
if
he's
there's a
like,
way
yeah, I don't
around
want your,
it."
he's like, I don't want your help. This is how I live. This is how I survive.
Right?
But, but he's not happy, and he won't let himself be happy. He doesn't laugh. He doesn't, and when we talk about forgiveness, he will not talk about forgiveness, not for somebody else, not for himself. Um, yeah. So he's punishing himself for life for the thought of harming somebody when he was a kid.
Let me give you my ideas, and I'm certainly, obviously, whoever Liz is obviously going to help with this too. But let me give you some of my thoughts that pop in my head, how I
Mhm.
would approach this. And take these as a grain of salt, and I encourage you to adapt them to the situation. Um, but talking about forgiveness is a cognitive process, and that's not the problem that's stuck here.
Mhm.
I wonder if this kid has a hard time accepting help from others. I wonder if he has a hard time, um, engaging and talking to other people. And so things that I would look at is potentially maybe his, again, window of tolerance might be a little narrower.
Mhm.
When you got back to the root memory this last time, was there much activation? Did you notice many emotions?
Mhm.
So I wonder if he's just kind of stuck in his head where emotions themselves are bad.
Mhm. That's where he feels it. It's always in his brain. One time he said he actually was starting to feel warmth throughout his body, but then it was almost like he put a halt to that. but he always says it's in his head.
because it changes. And I'd be curious, I wonder
Mhm.
what about that warmth made you feel like I didn't want that anymore?
Mhm.
Or I wonder if you want to welcome more of that in. Was that welcome? I wonder if there's a fear of himself. Um, I can't be trusted because I let my emotions get intense, and this grab knife bad thought came in. I don't want to go to jail. Therefore, I will take all the problems, consequences mom and dad give me because at least by doing this, I'm okay. It's better than going to jail. And here you are, no, we need to feel emotion.
Mhm.
Tells me he's probably got a pretty narrow window of tolerance.
Mhm. Yeah, he does. He does.
But then he might also not even be noticing. So I would do things that I might look at are also, I wonder if there are times where you felt happy. I mean, does he play video games?
Yes.
A lot.
Like
And
a
I'd
lot.
wonder how he knows that racing game is better than that first person shooter game for him.
Mhm.
And start with basic, simple emotions and helping him make simple things and identifying small changes. I mean, that's all part of, this is really phase 2,
Mhm.
prepping for all of this, right? We gotta, if we're gonna build an emotional monument, we gotta make sure we have a foundation deep enough that we can sustain the weight of growing up. You can't build the Eiffel Tower on a 6-inch slab of cement. It would just crack and break.
Mhm.
You have to go hundreds of feet underground to prepare the foundation before anything above ground can happen. The outward signs here are the rituals, helping him connect with things.
Mhm.
There's I'll put it in the chat. This is actually something I do um, with clients that are autistic, and you'd be um, I'd tell you to research and look into this website. This is the Tomati method for sound. Part of this also comes from a neurological standpoint. I
Mhm.
do this with autism clients all the time. I mean, this one recently, the mom just sent me a text about a week or two, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks ago. And she says, my boy came and said, I love you for the first time ever. Um, so understanding how the brain is working in the autism, this stuff, maybe adding something else into it could bring in, prepare the brain for this type of stuff. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Liz, what are your thoughts on this one?
Um, First red flag, if the touchstone memory you got there is not with the primary caregiver later than age 5, 6, 7, it's a red flag. It is not a real root.
Okay.
And everything he does, how is this his answer? Internalize, I'm bad, I'm evil.
Mhm.
And not, instead of really understanding that I was born a blank slate, and when my needs were not met, or when things, I think some psychoeducation, the outside was not meeting my needs, or um, I it's too powerful to change, or I'm too powerless to make any changes. But putting it back on myself gives myself a little control, and carrying extra responsibilities. Uh, if I do repetitions of these things, that's a control.
Mhm.
And I also have people on the autism spectrum, almost in a way I can see their nervous system is stuck in an unsafe state, survival state.
Mhm.
Everything he's doing sounds like he's in an isolated place. He has to be on his own. He has to deal with by himself. He can't accept help. He's not in this connection with anybody. But although it sounds like you are building some connection, for EMDR to truly be effective, the client needs to be really in this connection with us as a secure base, right? They go explore, dip into the deep end of the memory disturbance, then they come back, and this is what keeps them grounded in safety. I'm just working through some past memory disturbance or false beliefs, lies. But if he is stuck in that place, he has to be all alone. He can't have this, he can't utilize you and this present safety. So yeah, preparation might take a while. And not feeling anything in the body is a sign that the mind basically was trained to perceive anything from the body activation as a threat, cue of threat. I am myself. This co-regulation can be interpersonal, but the foundation has to be co-regulation between the mind and body. If I myself is at odds, my body and my mind constantly have to suppress each other, fight for attention above. So that's preparation. Just he was not taught or didn't have a gradual experience of experiencing something in my body and feeling that's not a threat. That's okay to feel this way.
Yeah, any type of like sexual feelings that he's ever had, he equates with being evil.
Right.
So
Yeah. And I do work in the private practice as the luxury. Part of the reason I left the agency is that at some point, if the client is really not ready to move on or takes time to prepare, if the parents are putting all these pressure, they are forcing the client to be in that stuck place. Are you willing to work with me? If the client needs time, if the parent is open and willing, if that can, like, that's dynamic, right?
yes,
I just want them to be somewhere else, but they are right here and they need to take the time. Slow is fast. So address anything with the parent could also, right, be a little appreciative of their answers or just some thoughts, but sounds like a tough case. And EMDR eventually will be most effective, but for a long time, it's maybe just working with the answer.
Okay.
You appreciate. Sounds like you are also, come on.
I am. Well, and I feel some like responsibility to the parents, because he'll be like, my dad always says, what are you helping me with? So just like stuff like that. And we have been working together for a couple years and he has made progress. Like baby steps. He does go to a cat cafe and he volunteers. So he does do that once a week. Always the same day, same time, but it has been progress, but I do think I do feel pressured to like do more. And he has this other, like his other thought that that he feels evil, but he feels like if there's like any like a hair in his food or like if he like bites skin off his lip or something and it gets into his mouth, that he's a cannibal. And Jeffrey Dahmer was a cannibal, Jeffrey Dahmer's evil. And so it's just very, very irrational. But that's part of his ritual, is checking and checking and checking to make sure there's no skin flakes on his toothbrush or hair in his food, and but there's a lot.
You see through the answer lens and start to see him as adorable.
Oh, he is, yes.
Maybe starting from a very young age, putting it all on himself.
Mhm.
Everything I can't control, everything I can't change. Yeah, that genuine appreciation. That's the beginning of you
Mhm.
just meeting him where he is at.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, because he doesn't find one good quality in himself.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's something. He's I've learned about every strange bug and reptile, and he finds the grossest ones to teach me about, and he likes to like scare me with like creepy reptiles.
I wonder which one he relates to.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'll ask him that. He's brilliant. He comes up with the most obscure things that he wants to talk about other than the things we should be talking about. So,
Deflection. Well,
yeah,
should we take a 5-minute break and then we can come back?
sure. Thank
And
you. I appreciate your input, you guys.
of course. Perfect. And so we'll come back. So you guys are at what time are y'all at? 2:40 almost?
2:39, yeah.
2:39. Should come back at 2:45 and we will see y'all in a second. Right, should we come back?
I'm very glad I remembered recording.
You did awesome. Thank you for that. That was, yeah, I actually was looking down just now. I was like, wait, I don't have the recording option. So, did you keep it
Oh,
recording?
yeah, maybe I should give you the co-host, right? See if you can see more buttons now.
Yes, now I see it.
Yeah.
So,
But I'll upload it to YouTube and you will have the link. Yeah.
okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect. Now, you usually let them open it up on their computers, or do you open it up on your computer?
If they can do that, that's the best. If they want to continue on with the team PTI, they all need to learn to do that, right?
Right. So, welcome back. So we got about 45 minutes, which gives us about 22-ish minutes per person on their videos. Who would like to go first on presenting their videos? I need to
Can I have a few minutes at the end for assignment?
Oh yeah, so maybe it's fine about 20 minutes then. Yeah, it'll give us about 5 minutes to do the assignment.
Mine was like 58 minutes. It was really long. Is there a certain part of it?
Is there a part that you had questions about? Something you wanted to reflect on?
I think the part that I had questions with was like going through all the memories, and was kind of would go to a young age, and then she'd remember something older, and then go to a younger age. And I honestly think she would have just kept going and going and going. And I finally had to, did you notice that? I kind of had to like stop it and say, okay, this is what it's going to be, and move on, because um it was a lot. So that was something I had a question about.
Okay. Yeah, so why don't we, I thought you did pretty good with that. Why don't we try and do like a couple minutes? Um, so I want to say that starts about, oh, I didn't actually write down the time after you did the NC. I wrote down the NC, but I didn't write down the time. Do you want to load up your video real quick and we can just kind of start in there?
Yeah.
Because I did notice that there was a shift in there. Because getting to the NC is one of the important parts for us to help with the process.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to pull this up and have it ready.
So it was about 13 and a half is after you decided to build on, to work on the self-doubt.
Self-doubt. So what do you want me to go to? Like what
Why don't we
time?
start around 13 and a half-ish, right in there. That's when you're starting that, right? Where you're doing the self-doubt. And then you need to make sure you share your screen as well.
Yeah, you guys are gonna have to tell me how to do this again.
Are you a co-host?
I think all participants can share
Can
screen.
share screen. Okay, so on the bottom, there's like a little box that says share screen.
I got a lot of stuff open on my computer. Okay. Can you guys see
Yeah.
it?
That's a great freeze frame.
Yeah, it is lovely.
Poor Mary.
trying to think of it, because it's good to have a little bit of self-doubt, right? But sometimes it's way overboard. So I'm just trying to think of it like that when that happened. I feel like
So
it's validation again.
actually, I did have a quick question I forgot to ask, and I apologize. I wonder how you saw your answer come up in this one. I forgot to do that part.
I think what is always, inserting humor when I'm uncomfortable. Or trying to have like more dialogue than I should. So.
Okay. Perfect. And how did you see your client's answer come up?
That's all of it. I mean, it's yeah, what she identified is in her answer. I mean, that is her answer.
That is her answer.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, why don't we start and we'll keep going.
Just some reassurance, that everything's gonna be okay,
Okay. Thank you. We're going to choose, I want you to choose one of those problems to focus on. So the avoidance, impulse control, or self-doubt. Which one would you like to focus on?
We can go with self-doubt.
Okay. Bear with me for a second. Okay, so just one more question. You've told me about your frustration with having the self-doubt, and what you're longing for, what you're not getting at that moment. So identify recent times when you did have a hope, even a glimmer of hope, of the longing being fulfilled, and it didn't work out. So the longing of validation or the reassurance that everything's okay. Can you think of a time when that was something you were longing for and it didn't work out?
Yeah. So I recently had a client, it was a new client, and sometimes you're just not a good fit. Sometimes it's just like they're looking for something different, or maybe hit something too early accidentally, so but it was a very good first session. It felt like a very good first session, right? And it just happens, like sometimes they'll leave and come back, or sometimes they'll just leave. And this one, just one session, it just felt really good. And then she emailed me after and said, I'm going to go a different direction. And for some reason, that one just stuck, hit me real hard. Like I went on a little mini spiral, accidentally of, I can't do this. I'm terrible at this. This is horrible. I've chosen the wrong career path. I ruined her life. You know what I mean? Like all those things that started coming up. I reevaluated the situation, right? Like I went through the notes and I just kind of, in my mind, I went through that whole session, like thinking about, and I went back to her answer and I made sense of it and made enough sense of it to feel okay about it. But that reaction was, I have never had a reaction to a client besides when I first started and I had my first client leave me and I was felt like that. But that reaction to that client, which was a great email, she didn't say anything like that. So I don't know. I still don't know why that one hit me so hard. But yeah, sent me down that path of
Huge self-doubt.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
Okay, well, that's actually the next question. To identify the triggers that bring on the hard self-doubt. And the first trigger is, when is the last time you experienced this at work or in
That's
the
the one.
community? So that was with the client leaving. So when is the last time you experienced this socially or with friends?
Well, sometimes if I have alcoholic beverages the next day, I have anxiety about the night before or the day before. So I don't want to count that because I feel like that's just alcohol induced. But I would say
But that can, I mean, it can still also be self-doubt of you not trusting yourself. Yeah.
it is. I
Yeah.
guess so. Yeah. So I guess I'll go with yeah. So
What do you notice coming in there? I want to pause that.
a couple weeks ago,
What do you notice about her behavior? This is always fascinating to me to watch her.
Not Mary. I think she was kind of embarrassed about it. Is that what you're saying as well?
No, she's coughing, she's fidgeting, she doesn't sit
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
Well, probably some nervousness, or even her doubting herself for saying that.
And how are you feeling watching this? What are you noticing coming up for you as you're watching it?
I felt, I don't know what the word is, not like proud of her, but like pleased that she was acknowledging it, that she was, reporting to me or telling me about situations socially that she struggles with. And she talks about it a little bit more too. But no, I
Right.
felt like she was talking about it, and that's a good thing.
Perfect. I want to go forward just a couple minutes and because I want to get to that NC. I want to hear it again. I didn't do it last time. I think let's go about a minute or so. We'll find out how it looks. Yeah, let's see what this is. I want to get to that NC.
that feeling.
Self-doubt. Yeah, that's a good example. When is the last time you experienced
Like another minute or
with
so.
your closest friend or relationship?
Little level, like in group text, when you send like a funny meme and then nobody likes it. I know it sounds like so silly, but it just happens, right? And I mean, those aren't big reactions, it's just, and you can talk yourself down because you're like, okay, it doesn't matter, right? But it's that initial thing of when you send a text and then there's like 5 other texts and yours gets ignored and everybody else's gets not ignored, right? And you're just like, oh, okay. So everybody hates me on this text thread. They obviously don't, right? Because you wouldn't be on there. But
it just feeds that feeling.
It does feed that feeling, and it feels so childish when it happens. And I don't say anything or let it, go on. Depending on the day, obviously, there's days that it hits you harder than others. Hormones or whatever.
Right.
Well, even so I would say, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, even just sending a meme is what you're longing for, is the validation. Like, this is funny. I'm funny. Sending this, and then
100%.
Nobody reacts. It's just
a million
amplifies that even more.
1,000,000%. Yes. So I will say, I can think of a certain one, I suppose.
Let's go like another minute or so. I was thinking that was the middle of it. She does talk a lot.
She does. She's I like her.
She's fun. I love her too.
It feels embarrassing.
Yeah,
It
this
feels
is
like
the worst part. Do you notice that? She does that repeatedly throughout
the worst
this.
part overall.
What, the
is
pausing?
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
the shoulders. Do you notice that?
I didn't notice the shoulders.
She's done it about 4 times in this video so far.
Oh,
What do you think that is?
I mean, when you lift your shoulders like that, it's an I don't know, you know, and that's self-doubt, right?
I bet it's anxiety here.
Yeah.
I think she's flooded with it. So you've done a good job activating. But I wonder if she's aware of how I bet you money it's something to test on your hypothesis. This is just a hypothesis. I bet she's trying to get a good breath in and a breath out because she holds her breath a lot. Just noticing little things. You're doing great. Keep going.
one, I suppose. Well, I guess I'm thinking of like 3 worst things and trying to decide which one's the worst.
There's her answer again. Did you see that?
Yeah.
The worst part of it is fearing that this feeling is going to be strong enough one day to where I'll self-sabotage like everything.
So
Okay, you
if
want
you,
to go forward a little, like another minute. I want to get her toward that and see.
okay, how disturbing.
I thought she talked more. Maybe I was wrong. Because now she's in the memory.
Mhm.
See, there it is. 5.
Um,
Let's go back just a hair. Let's see if that, because I think that should be the NC, right?
Okay, when you, hold on.
She's so patient
Okay,
with
when
me.
you bring up the worst part of that disturbance, what words express the negative belief that you have about yourself now, even though you know better?
Notice the difference in her behavior, in her posture. There it is. Her answer follows every time.
I'm trying to like think of it. I want to say like I'm unwanted, but it doesn't feel right. I'm trying to think of something that makes more sense. It more feels like
She says, I'm in the way there, huh? We just got muted. So what she said there was, I'm in the way. So what do you notice,
I'm
Becky?
sorry.
You're okay.
Bring up the worst part.
Want
and
to
the
pause
words
it real
that-
quick?
Yeah. Sorry, my kid just came downstairs and my cat started wailing. So,
Nice.
yeah.
That's okay. What do you notice so far? What comes up for you as you've watched this?
I think she's really engaged and she's trying to really work on stuff. So, yeah, I do. And she thinks a lot and she pauses a lot. There's a lot of silence, which is hard to allow that.
Well, I thought you did great throughout the silence in this video. That was actually one of my comments. I thought you did great with that.
Like, it's hard for me because I'd rather talk. So,
Right. Yeah, it makes us uncomfortable. There's our answer. But you did a good
mhm.
job on that.
Thank you.
Now the bouncing back and forth, I didn't want to dismiss that, but time-wise, I want to make sure it's fair to everybody. Since I got to see it, yes, you're right. And it is not uncommon for people to go down toward the root and then sometimes they bounce back to a more previous, like she did. I want to say it was just recently. It seemed like within the last few years, and then went back down again further,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
This is all about activation. Um, and that's kind of things that happen in the brain. Things that I try to do with my clients to help with people like Mary who process verbally. I try to be respectful of them. I say, sometimes it's just best just to give me a title, 1 to 2 sentences to help me get down to that root more quickly.
Okay.
That's something that it's going to be something you're going to find that works for you. But I thought you handled that great to give you feedback since you can't really watch it. Overall, how well do you think you did here? Did you do here? My Nephi grammar there coming out on you.
Yeah, yeah, I think it went well. It still feels very like robotic to me, like, to follow the script and say everything like we're supposed to. And it appears very unnatural to me when I watch it. But no, I think it went well. And thankfully she's easy to work with. She's yeah, and I even told her before we started, like, um, you can wing it and, just, we don't have to go deep. You don't have to really talk about, I just was kind of giving her you don't have to go real deep with me, but she's like, no, I want to. That's what I want to do. So,
That's
um,
awesome.
yeah.
No, I appreciate you're giving her that respect. She trusts you. Even though it might feel robotic, even though she knows the process,
Mhm.
she still trusts you, which is important. You're a complete stranger to her, and she
Mhm.
trusts you. So I don't think the robotic part interfered at all with this. Well done.
Thank
Well
you.
done acknowledging that. You did great. How about you, Liz? Do you have anything you want to add to that?
You already said it, just echo that this part is kind of hard. We are trained to validate the client and pulled into conversations, but and some clients, a lot of clients are used to verbal processing, but this could also be predicted. Now you will have this experience. Go back to the answer, or when you do the answer, noting, okay, maybe you start talking and talking and talking, just want to talk more. If there's activation, this is going to happen. And the kinder thing, the more effective thing is to take just a label, then we go into the full reprocessing. That'll be the last time you have to experience this. That's most effective. Why
Okay.
we're doing EMDR, right? Because we have a better tool. And this you and notice what's coming up for you when you have to cut the client short, even though you try to be polite, try to be um, whatever works to you, but kind of connect how is my answer or my past making this hard to set a limit or to
Mhm.
set a structure for clients. Can
Perfect.
I just ask what's the earliest age you got to?
Well, she was talking about when her mother was pregnant with her.
Yeah,
Um,
perfect.
so yeah.
You got there. Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. All right, Alyssa, you ready to go? All right. Well, you need to stop sharing, Becky.
What would you like me to pull up though? Did you say the negative cognition or?
Yeah, let's start with that. Oh, crud. We
I
didn't
had to do
record.
mine in like 2 separate sessions.
Mm-hmm.
I have a talker.
You do have a talker. That's
Did it
that's
stop sharing?
not yet.
How do I do that?
So if you on the top of your screen of the Zoom window, it should show like a little bar that says, stop sharing video.
Well, now I made it small and I can't get to make it bigger.
You paused the recording earlier, right, Liz? I'm just gonna start it recording right here. Okay, here we go. This records to this computer. Do you want me to send it to you? This one doesn't give me the option to record over on the cloud. I couldn't hear you. I apologize.
It's going to be recorded to my hard drive. I'll upload it to YouTube.
Yeah, but my only option when I record is saying on this computer.
Oh,
Are you recording?
being recorded. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It doesn't say that on my side anymore. Oh, there it is. All right, Alyssa, you ready to go?
Yeah. Okay. So I need to share screen. So here's where the negative cognition is. And like I said, I have to do it in 2 separate sessions. So
Did you share the audio with it? You should ask.
How do I share the audio? You are sharing screen. Where did you click share audio?
It should say.
Oh, share sound. Sorry.
Sound.
All right, there we go. Is that
Regarding
good?
space. Yeah, regarding space. He doesn't do well with that conversation. And
Real quick, how did your answer come up with this? How did you see that come up during this process?
What did I write? Well, it's like usual. It's my anxiety. Trying to like get everything done in a set amount of time is stressful because this client takes a lot of time and she likes to talk. And even though like I'll repeatedly be like, just need a headline, I don't need all the details, she'll give me all the details. So I think I get like anxious because I want to make space for her to share and verbalize and validate. But it's hard to do it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Perfect. All right, here we go.
why that is. Which is why I have so much empathy for it.
So when you think about these moments in time, Kim's room or Lake and Land, CJ, conversation with Blake, what is the worst part of it all right now?
Not being heard or listened to. Being interrupted. When I'm in the middle of a fucking sentence. Sorry for the swearing.
Okay.
I'm activated. Look, I'm gonna start.
You can say that.
Activated right now.
Oh, that's funny. How disturbing does it feel right now on a scale of 0 to 10?
How disturbing?
Yeah, where 0 is no disturbance and 10 is the high. Not the worst part of that disturbance, not being heard, being interrupted. What words express the negative belief you have about yourself now, even though you may know better?
Now in this moment? Like what describes my negative self-talk?
Yeah, like a negative belief you have about yourself now.
Overreactive?
I'm overreacting?
Perhaps.
Yeah, let me give you a list. These are all the negative beliefs you might have. So you bring up that worst part, not being heard. In what words express the negative belief you have about yourself now, even if you know better?
Maybe I cannot stand up for myself. I am not in control. I'm not good enough.
Okay, this part was something I was curious about. I wonder, is it why you gave her a list of these answers? I wonder.
Yeah, I'm wondering that too, because she actually said one. She said, I'm overreacting in the beginning. And then I was like, here's a list. Your answer that you told me isn't good enough.
Yeah, I was wondering what was going on with you in that
But
moment.
then again, I think it was like what I first heard was like, well, I don't know. Like it seemed like she was struggling to come up with one. So I wanted to make it easier for her. But I do that sometimes. I give people a list because they don't know what to say.
Uh-huh.
Is that bad?
I don't know if it's bad. I did say bad. I wonder if that's part of their answer or if that's part of your answer. I wonder if time was part of it. I thought of a lot of different things. I wonder if, like, oh, we got to hurry and get this done because there's another one on the line I got to get done.
Yeah. Yeah, in this moment, definitely she gave me one. She was like, I'm overreacting. And I was like, I didn't accept that. Oops.
And that's okay. And I notice those things and we all make these mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I would hesitate and caution against, and I leave this to you as the expert in this room, if my client starts reading a list, they leave the emotional brain
Yeah.
and they go into cognitive reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered if that was why we had some difficulty with that, where there was some bouncing around. Because what was interesting is I was like, wow, she got it back there later on, and I hope when we can move forward.
She got
What
what back?
she got back on track, she got activated, and then you started going toward a route. But she kind of gets out of her activated state and into
Mhm.
cognitive state. And then
Okay.
as you go into earliest memory in the next one, it was kind of a bounce between these two safe zones, it seems like. And I could see that.
Our
But
next video.
what's coming up? So as far as the list goes, what do you think she would answer? A question I would ask a client would be if they say I overreacted. I would
What
ask a
does that say
question
about
like,
you?
yeah, what does that say about you? And what would you say? What do you think her answer would be to that?
Like, well, what did she end up giving me? I'm sorry. Oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not in control. I did something wrong. I don't really know what she would say to that.
It was,
It was,
yeah, I'm not good enough. I think,
I did something wrong and I'm not in control.
yeah.
So these two sessions though were within like weeks apart,
Mhm.
just so you know.
That's okay. And that's great.
Because I
You
had
do
to like
what you got to
stop
do.
after this because I was like, okay, we've been meeting for over an hour now. And I only videoed when I start going into the EMDR part. And then in this video also I should add was before I took it before you said we need her face. And then the next video I got her face. So I'm sorry
Right,
about that too.
right. Why don't we, let's load up that second video and let's watch like a minute or two of that and let's see if we can't, um, like fast forward into it a little bit because you did a recap in the beginning. Kind of.
Okay.
And what was interesting is when you gave the recap, you also are like apologizing for like flooding all these memories back to her. Um, does that make you feel
Oh,
uncomfortable
yeah.
What do you mean?
to
Oh.
when people get big emotions real quick?
Well, I just feel like obligated to be like, I know this is hard, like validate that this is hard,
Okay.
maybe, you know?
Yeah. Okay. I love that. Now, why don't you just pick a spot in the middle somewhere?
Okay,
Let's,
so
In the middle, okay.
yeah, anywhere in the middle-ish, we'll find, because it's interesting to watch her behavior. This looks great.
how old I was, but I used to have this water bottle that I'd store
Oh
in the
yeah, the
fridge
water
to keep
bottle
it
part.
cold.
This
And
is
then
a good
like
one,
open
yeah.
the water bottle, chug my water, and then go on with my day. And I remember one time doing that, and I was standing there, and I just remember having this thought like, I wonder if I'm ever going to be able to feel like I can relax. And I was like a kid. Like I don't remember how old I was, but I just remember like feeling this overwhelming sense of anxiety at like a super young age.
Do you know, maybe like, were you middle school? Were you?
I think it was before any of that. I do. I think I was probably like younger than like 5th grade or younger.
So this was before the diagnosis?
Oh yeah, for sure before the diagnoses.
So you were already feeling that anxiety.
And my mom, I don't know if I've talked to you about this before. I used to like perseverate.
So I'm wondering, like, that water bottle memory, that's like a memory of her thought. Is that something that can be targeted?
It's a good question. I would say, it depends on this case. That water bottle memory came up in several spots. It was interesting to hear the water bottle come up because she talked about what do you call the hologram thing?
Yep.
That was a specific thing that kept coming up, and that seemed to be important. I would target it. I would say,
Yep.
hey, that would be a great target.
Because the youngest one she gave me was kindergarten. I had to do it. Well, actually, the water bottle was like age 3 to 5, and it was her thought. And I was like, well, I don't really know if that counts. In my head, I was thinking. But then the other youngest memory she gave me was regarding hitting a girl with a lunchbox in kindergarten and then Girl Scouts in kindergarten. Once
Yes.
again, not with primary caregivers.
hmm And well, the water bottle had significance because wasn't that from her dad? Wasn't that connected
Um,
to the dad and his sobriety and stuff? I'm, I may be wrong, but I think that's what I gathered last time when I was listening to this yesterday.
I
I
think
would,
that the water bottle was before everything happened with her dad and like when life was normal, actually. She was, because that's what I was intrigued by, was that she was already feeling this thought, I wonder if I will ever be able to relax before like things escalated in her family's life.
Mhm. And I would ask her, I would go back to that target memory and
Okay.
just ask her, say, hey, look, I wonder what you said this last time. I wonder what comes up for you now. I wonder if there was a time where you were in the family and it didn't feel safe because she had like 20 years sobriety or something, if memory serves me correctly,
Prior to that.
prior to that. But then everything hit the fan. So something was going on there to lead to his relapse, which also means there's probably stress in the home. You would
Yeah,
be
so
surprised if I got that memory and that was the earliest one, I probably would run it because it's interesting how many times those thoughts turn into connective in lots of big ways. Does that make sense?
yeah, and I was thinking that that memory would bring something up that she doesn't remember right now that happened at that age. I don't know.
Yeah. We always go for those early ones. Since it's in that same line, it got you back to that point. I would start there since it's the youngest.
Okay.
Yes, the stuff later definitely had a lot of attachment issues.
Yeah.
But It's interesting that sometimes they don't connect all the dots all at once. But I
Mhm.
thought you did great. I could tell this process is hard, and it's fun for me to be on this end of it because I'm watching your videos and like it made me happy because remember watching my videos and I was like, yeah, I remember those feelings. These are intense, and I felt bad for both of you. And so I was like, this isn't easy. Liz has
Yeah.
something to say.
I do not like being recorded. It's just weird.
A question we can always ask when we notice it's a red flag memory, not with primary caregiver or not at the home, is did you tell anyone? Did you
Oh yeah.
tell your
Mm.
parents? Or if they didn't, was that an answer already? I can't imagine a
Jeez.
5-year-old, if they feel safe with their parents, they wouldn't tell parents about it, right? Not telling
Mhm.
parents, keeping it, handling on your own. Wow, I wonder if that was the answer developed at that
Yeah.
or before that. Then that leads you to even earlier.
Um, and so I struggle because I don't want to insinuate that something happened to them that they don't remember. And does that make sense? You know what I mean? Some,
How is this? Could this be part of your answer?
yeah. Oh, yeah. But but it's okay to do that is what you're telling me.
If the client, like, we are not saying they have, I wonder. This
Yeah.
is the nonviolence principle.
Yeah.
I'm curious, or yeah, just
I'm
pure
wondering.
speculation. I wonder if a 5-year-old learned to handle things on her own
Mm-hmm.
because of
Yeah.
some hard experiences. The client can tell me no. Okay.
Okay. And when you say red flag memories, so like when we know it's a red flag memory, do we accept that? Like, do we just know that we need to, like, what? No.
Red flag is usually if it's older than 10 in school, kindergarten with peers, with a teacher, not involving family of origin.
And then does that mean we shouldn't go with that?
That's not the real root.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Got it.
Right? There must be earlier stuff fueling, say, I should not tell parents. Oh, I wonder if you didn't feel safe or felt maybe it's not important to them. I
Okay.
wonder how you, yeah, learn that. Just because of time, I need to just give you the assignments before we go.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll stop sharing.
yeah. Um, if you sounds like Alyssa, you are on the right track, but could do a little probing with the touchstone. And now you probably heard again, activation is what we are looking for. We're not trying to resource people or help people back to regulation or to in this session. And we need to keep them on the top line. That's the kinder way, so their system is not flooded. That's part of the keeping them still lit up, but not flooded. So that's setting structure. Can we use this label? What about the next earlier time? So you can reactivate and do a little probing. For Becky, you already got the touchstone. You can go straight into phase 3 to 7, however far you go. Alyssa, I guess you can maybe don't spend too much time. You now know, keep it structured, your goal on the touchstone memory, then you go into phase 3 and onward. Always check bilateral stimulation, the mechanics before you go in phase 3. And 3 things to submit: video, transcript in an attachment with client and therapist. That's much easier for me to read, for us to read, and send both us, and your reflection form. If you have a case you want to bring, send the case consultation form. That's the optional 4th.
Sorry, I forgot the client therapist thing.
Okay, this is meeting 3. We're just okay on the right direction. And we're meeting on August 14th. Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Well done, everybody. You did great. Thanks for letting us share these experiences with you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You did great as well.
It's good to have Liz in my background. Thank you.
All right. Dwayne and I were going to stay on for a few minutes to reflect. And I'll see you guys next month.
Thank you guys.
Take care.
See ya.
Oh, oops.
It's okay. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
That went pretty good. Time goes so fast on these videos, and I wished I had I know it's not, and this is that same piece coming up that I want to be able to prepare and to have those minutes, but I thought it went pretty well. I was happy. Time is my enemy always, but overall, I think work was done, and I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I think you did pretty well. And I also noticed a lot of my own, like, oh, I was there. I have similar answers. And there's like so many comparisons for me.
Yeah.
The 2 parts I shared from the very beginning. Oh, what do I do here? Or do I welcome? How, or oh, I learned to do it better, or do I say something, or do I just welcome? That's my struggle throughout.
Yeah. I didn't think it was too bad. I thought it went really well.
No, it went. Overall, it did go well, and I have critical parts of myself, and
Mhm.
me being the observer, right? That's the vintage point I get to see, and hey, I can really see a lot. Yeah. But I think one thing maybe the most helpful, and you probably share the video with Deb and ask for her feedback too, is the present moment mindfulness. I had a really hard time with it.
Did you? Was it clumsy, huh?
No, it's almost the opposite. You're so the safe model, the way Deb really emphasizes truly the present moment and nonviolence. We I can see you are very good at empathizing with others. You're very good at anticipating others' needs or what's going on for them and offering whatever might be helpful for them. Make it easier, make them feel more comfortable. And it's just showing up as you're um, predicting, anticipating, and offering. And and directing
Ah, okay. That's good
instead of,
feedback.
if you want to look back on some of the Debs, especially during our um, monthly meetings,
Mhm.
she does not direct anything. It's, I'm just going to start noticing my experience. I invite you to follow along or not. She always offers or not, or you don't have to do this, or what I'm noticing. And what I notice during that is when that kind of pure invitation, open invitation,
Mhm.
no direction I should be or not. I get to explore a lot and not feeling restricted or I need to go any direction. Um, I may notice the things she was inviting me to notice. I may notice a lot more, or I'm just noticing I'm calm or nothing comes up. Uh, uh, but I do now hear the direction. You are good at anticipating their needs, and then the language comes across as uh, you predict this is what you might be experiencing. I invite you to do so. Yet um, there is some direction.
Mhm.
Does
No,
that?
and I appreciate that. That's actually really good for me. What's kind of what I find interesting is I do predict, and I'm trying to reflect on my experience in that moment. Um, because in a lot of ways I almost got into it for me. And so I was like, a lot of that stuff said
Oh,
was
okay,
also reflecting, here's what I need.
okay.
Um, and but that is very mindful because you're right. It would be helpful to change the wording to broaden it because that mindfulness isn't for me, it's for a group. Um, and my answer came up right then. Um, I'm going to reflect on
Yeah.
that and watch some more videos on that because that is great
I wonder if
information.
it, how would it be feel to just name it? I'm noticing, and I wonder if you have similar experience or maybe not. They
Open
are
to.
completely optional, even the participation. Would anybody like to share their experience or check in? Or it's optional to truly like say it and mean it. That was the hard part. And when I got the feedback from Deb and I reflected some deep soul searching, what hit me the hardest was that I realized I'm so good at directing myself or forcing myself, doing things I don't necessarily like. And I've gotten so good. So I never really give myself open invitation. What do I feel like doing in this moment or next moment, next day? Do I truly want, or then what I can't give myself, I had really hard time offering or giving it to others. It's truly optional, and say it and mean it. That took me a little bit. Um, that's so the beauty of the answer is, right, two people can seem to have the same answer, yet their adaptation, the path could be very different. So I'm just offering what, um, or um, sharing with you my, yeah, uh,
Mhm. No,
person.
that's great. That's good feedback because when you said that about like you were guiding them with words, and I remembered some of the words I said, it actually brought me back to I think it was with Wanda last, and she said something that that reverberated in my head, something along the lines as you notice this and you've welcomed it in, I wonder what it needs or what would you want to do with it? And, and the way she's phrased that might go try and, I know Deb does something similar and you're right. It is kind of that no harm. Like I appreciate this feedback because this is really helping me. Yeah, that's great. I could definitely work on that. What else did you notice? Sorry.
Do you really want to hear? I think another part of consultation groups and even during trainings, I came to terms with there could be a million things we point out or correct or remind or highlight. Yet, what's the most effective? Like, uh, we're not necessarily looking or working with that client and see if I could crack that client. My focus is this is the person working with me, and what is their answer showing up in this moment? Um, can we just bring awareness to what's happening in this moment? And if they get a little movement on their either awareness, appreciation, compassion, or awareness about how it's connecting to their past out of vulnerable, painful experience, and now they can appreciate it. A little movement on that and really allow them to experience that's the really long lasting um, jewels they take away from these consultations. And we could sit here and talk about cases. How do you deal with dissociation or other issues? If that experiential part um, is what really carried them a long way. So I'm good with throwing away the whole list. I know I do like make lists I can't see, but it's really what one thing I think that matters most is using this as an opportunity. Now you can, um, reflect on about that present moment mindfulness. That would be great. You are amazing.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate this. I tried to spend more time on what they're doing right and do that, but I also noticed, especially with, I get names mixed up in my head, Becky, when she's like, what do I do? And I could feel myself being drawn into that answer of hers. And
Yeah,
I was trying to pull back and I
right.
finally was like,
Yeah, it's a dance. What would it be like? Or I'm noticing I'm pulled to give you exactly what I will do with the client. Seems like you are really good at that. And I'm really good at giving you. And now, would it would that be really what's most helpful? I'm not sure. What do you think?
that's actually great. I'm
So
writing this stuff
that's
down.
the present moment that like Alyssa talks about. She always has anxiety, but she feels like her anxiety is always well managed. But it's that managing part keeps us hooked, keeps us away, just a layer away from the present moment truth. I'm trying to manage that. I'm trying to pull myself out or do something to get us somewhere instead of just can we just peel off these layers and be this is the present moment truth.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And It's easy. It's interesting as you say these things. It's like in therapy, it's so much easier, and I guess it's because maybe I'm taking on a new role.
Yes.
Um, and I want them to have a good experience, and so I feel like you're right. If I could have, that would have been a great reflective moment, present moment. Like, yeah, I feel like you wanted me to. I'm drawn to help you.
Ray, how is that what you're good at?
Yes, I see. I could envision how that would go, how that conversation would have gone, and I think it would have gotten her to the point. Ideally, I think she could have realized that she's doing it because this is how she's done it in the past. But she's strong enough now, she doesn't necessarily need that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
There's a part of her just feels you are authority or you are more knowledgeable. I don't know anything, or if you just tell me that'll be the right answer, right? Trust, then the longing is just to be reassured you know what you're doing, you have what's in you, and you and your client in the present moment, you have all the information to work with.
mhm.
Um, yeah, wow, this is awesome.
This is awesome. I love this stuff. Thank
You
you.
are awesome.
Well, you're awesome too. I'm really learning a lot. I love it.
Yeah, all right.
So
Then you go
perfect.
and keep leading next meeting and next meeting.
Sounds great. I'll keep practicing.
Hmm.
So,
Would you, okay, a couple of things, practical things. You don't have to write the reflection form for both participants, just fit in
oh,
one.
just for one? Oh, okay.
And a lot of them can be repeat, it's the same portion. And yeah, it's the process of reflecting. It's not about paperwork, right? This is already you're reflecting. Um, and the folder Spencer created for you. Um, did you have access to it and did you get to take a look at it?
Yes, I did. And so it has that consultation group form, which I actually pulled up in the background. And then I had that feedback for consultation. I was going to ask you on that because it's one of my
Sure, yeah,
forms open. Um, because we don't we it says demonstrates so on one of them it's like demonstrates competence in phase one history taking. That's kind of a not demonstrated here, right?
right.
Um,
So if it's not demonstrated, but safe model, we do phase one and two in hand. So getting to the root, that's
that's part of
part of history taking,
true.
because we want to assess their resource at the same time, or make sure they have enough resource to before we activate them. Okay. I can show you my folder, how I use it. Give me a second. Da, 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 da. Okay, I can share screen here. No, wait, before I share, did you have any more question about the feedback form?
No, I was just thinking how I this is I hate scaled questions because from where they're at, I thought they did excellent. Now, as far as excellent as far as like Deb level, right? It's like they're good.
There it is. Stop yourself. Good answer.
So it's like, oh, I don't. How do you normally fill those out? Because I don't. I thought they did great, but when I say perfect, no, they have room to grow, but everybody does.
Okay, however you feel it. And
Okay.
at some point, if you might want to even bring this up in the actual meeting, it's just like the racial, cultural, all these systematic stuff all affects us, but it's not talked about. We all have some reaction or responses to ratings, evaluations. I said in the email, or this rating is, but would it be like it could be a something to reflect on. How are you feeling about these scales? And what I came to terms is that even after I finished the consultation, I reflect, looking back at these areas, I noticed that even though my consultant gave me 5, and I thought, oh, I continue to appreciate this principle, or this, I shouldn't have gotten 5, or, oh, could that critical part be my answer? It's all relative. What we would like to see is you more than once repeatedly demonstrate that you are making progress on these scales, and nobody really gonna say because you're not reaching 4 or 5 you're not getting certified, or I'm not writing a recommendation letter. But it's all about what stirs up in us with this process. And are you okay, or that's opportunity to notice our answers or our patterns showing up.
Okay.
So yeah.
Perfect.
Then yeah. And really it comes down to the just a very short, brief kind of summary part of what you think they are doing well, making progress. Yeah. We really see their awareness, their ability to willingness and ability to be vulnerable, to be real, right, in this process is most valuable. So
Perfect. Yeah. I
yeah,
thought they were both pretty vulnerable.
right, yeah.
I think.
I thought
Oh,
that scheduling thing, first I lashed out on everybody, and then
I
you
appreciated it, for the record.
and you also offered your own material there, right? This is really an example of things outside the meeting, and just it's everywhere, and that helps create the safety. Yeah. So I'm gonna share a screen with that, just my folder here. I put a folder. You can create it. You're the editor. I put a folder for all my reflection forms, and I start a folder for each group. I really just, this is my second group, and there's that tracking sheet. Can you see the tracking sheet when I open it? Yeah. So I put forms links. If it's Google form, that's my own CIT reflection form. Then YouTube links. And
I
this
love that.
the format, actually, Spencer, they already copy pasted it, the format, but it gives you, I actually realize we want to change these dates. But yeah. So now it's just feedback forms. I don't have CIT form, but once you send out the feedback forms, I can add them to this one. But you can also feel free to use those 5. Start, like, I apprenticed with Linda, so I started tracking the 5. I actually did the second meeting to the 6th meeting with them. So that's
Awesome.
what how I use it. Also, just that information is accessible to Spencer and Deb if they need to kind of have a little. They don't need to know really the much of the content unless we reach out for support and help.
Perfect.
And they
All
always
right.
there our back. Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, they're wonderful. They're fun to work with.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. All right.
well, thank you.
You're welcome, and you're amazing. You're appreciated. See you next month.
Thank you. And you're amazing. And I really appreciate the open feedback. You make it so comfortable in here. I really do appreciate that.
Mm.
So, and I'll see you in a month.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye bye.
Bye.